can reconnect with all of you guys. Yeah, well, this light is not wanting to stay, so. All right, cool. So I know a lot of you guys had questions about the Crane 3 Lab. So if you have any questions regarding that gimbal, let me know because I do have it right here. I'm working on a really crazy, cool new series, very large series on the Crane 3 Lab because it's probably one of the most complicated gimbals on the market, and complicated in a good way. So I mean, it has so many features. Like here's one of my cameras rigged up for the Crane 3 Lab. All right, so this is the Sony a7S with the 24-70 G Master. It has both the follow focus servo hooked up and the zoom servo hooked up. So you can take a look right here and see just how complicated, but again, complicated in a good way, this thing is. So there is a lot that goes into it. And this is without all of the cables attached to it. Brand new quick release system right here, completely brand new. So there's just a ton of things that go on into this system. I'm also going to be making a video on how to balance a 70-200. So if you don't worry, if you're a Canon user, these lenses are pretty similar in size and in weight. So I'll show you how to balance this on a Sony Alpha camera. So that's really important. Here we have the Crane 3 Lab. All right, so it's all locked up. If you haven't seen my unboxing video on the Crane 3 Lab, I do suggest checking it out because it's going to educate you on what's going on with this gimbal, like what's in the package, the packing list. In the next couple days, I'll be releasing a balancing tutorial, official setup tutorial, how to mount the follow focus, how to mount the zoom on it, and I'll show you all of those controls as well in those videos. So that's coming out very, very soon. But again, here's the Sony a7S with the 24-70 G Master. Beautiful lens. Actually, I don't own this lens. I'm renting it from a company called Magnanimous Rentals. Very good company. If you want to start renting your gear, check them out. I'm going to do a review/video on them, featuring the G Master 24-70. So check them out. Really nice lens. Very heavy, very, very heavy compared to my regular 24-70 f4 Zeiss. It's a much heavier lens, and we'll be comparing the bokeh and the depth of field, shallowness of the depth of field, comparing it to the f4. So wait for that tutorial, review video, comparison video coming out soon. So if you guys have any questions, let me know in the chat. I'll be online for a little bit. Just wanted to quickly hop on, do a little live just so I can answer some of your questions. So let me know. Let me know what's going down. All right, and let me know how the feed is as well, because usually my live stream feed is very wonky, and a lot of people aren't happy with that, which is one of the reasons why I stopped doing the live stream. But hopefully today it's doing okay. So let me know what you think about the stream quality, what's going on. Please let me know. Okay, so let's see some of the questions. Halvin Wolf, what's going on? Hi from Germany. Jay's filming. What's going on? What do you think about the Moza Air 2? I don't have it. So if I ever get the chance to get it, I will let you know. But I can't state any opinions since I don't have the gimbal. Michael, sup, dude? How you doing? How you doing? So let me tell you about the gimbals that I currently own. So if you have any questions, quick comparison questions, just let me know. So currently I have the Crane 3 Lab, Crane 2, Weeble Lab, Ronin S, Moza Air Generation 1, and yeah, those are the gimbals I have, and the Smooth 4 gimbal for your phone. So those are the gimbals I currently have. Let me know if you have any questions. If you want me to pull one out and quickly compare it to the Crane 3 Lab or Weeble Lab, let me know. I know I haven't talked to you guys in a while, so I'm sure you have a lot of questions. Halvin Wolf says, stream looks pretty clear. Thanks, bro. Lasha says, hey, what's up? Michael asks, what do you think about the Sony 16? Oh, the song 16 Fever by Gucci Mane. I don't listen to Gucci Mane, dude. Sorry. I listen to old school stuff. Life and Joy says, sir, how's our best gimbal? I think you mean which one is the best gimbal. What do you think about who should upgrade to the from the Crane 2 to the Crane 3? So listen, not everyone needs to upgrade to the Crane 3 Lab. Okay, let me get that straight. For those of you who need that higher payload, if you want to be able to balance cinema grade cameras, then yes, you need to upgrade to the Crane 3 Lab. It has that bigger frame, that those more powerful motors. And when it comes down to the features, it's just way beyond what the Crane 2 can do. Image transmission, huge, huge perk for those of you who are getting the Crane 3 Lab. And I'm going to demo that for you in a future video. I'm going to show you how to use the image transmission system. I'm going to show you how it can help you out with your framing, composition, and just setup time in general, because plugging in your phone, connecting it to the HD transmitter, it's going to be a lot quicker than grabbing a monitor, finding a battery for your monitor, plugging that battery in, and then dealing with all the cables. This is fully wireless, so there's no cables, and you don't even have to worry about a battery because you have your phone's battery. And plus, you can use the Crane 3 Lab as a way to power up your phone, so you don't have to hunt down an extra battery and just deal with all of those cables and just creating a big mess for yourself. So if you want all of those features, then yes, the Crane 3 Lab is what you want to get. When it comes down to ergonomics, ergonomics are also improved. All right, so we get this really bizarre looking handle here. A lot of people think, or a lot of people are questioning the use of this type of handle and if it's really going to help them or not. I like it, simply because I can quickly go into low angle mode without having to do any weird twists or turns. This handle's already propped up and ready to go, so I can just go like this, and boom, that's it. Also, we get these cool axis locks. So as you notice, none of the arms are swinging around, and I just love those features. When it comes down to battery life, we don't see any improvement in battery life, all right? It's about the same, and most likely it's going to be less because we have more powerful motors. That's one. Two, you're going to be able to hook up many more accessories, so that's going to drain more power out of the batteries. So let me tell you the battery life that I get out of this gimbal. So when I have both servos hooked up, the follow focus servo and the zoom servo hooked up, plus I have my camera hooked up and charging, and vigorously using the Crane 3 Lab, I get about 3 hours of battery life. Now, compared to professional like Movi gimbals, with all those rigs set up, you're getting about 40 minutes on the Movi compared to 3 hours on the Crane 3 Lab. So even though you have your camera completely rigged up with the servo on both the zoom and the focus, you're getting 3 hours of battery life, which is great compared to 40 minutes on the Movi. So the Movi is a much larger gimbal. You're going to get much heavier payloads on there, but it's sucking a lot more power. But if you want to mount like an FS5 or a C200 on the Crane 3 Lab, definitely doable. Those are cinema grade cameras, and you're still going to get about 2 to 3 hours of battery life on the Crane 3 Lab. Plus, it uses 18650 batteries. These are non-proprietary batteries, and you can easily buy them on Amazon or eBay for like 20 bucks for a set of 3. You know, proprietary batteries are much more expensive and can run into the hundreds of dollars when you can just pay 20 bucks for the 18650 batteries. That's why I really recommend that when you're purchasing a gimbal, you look at the type of batteries that it's using. Is it using proprietary or non-proprietary batteries? That's one of the biggest faults in the DJI Ronin S, is that DJI loves proprietary technology. They don't want anybody else to have third-party batteries for that thing. Big problem when it comes down to customers being happy. You want customers to be able to buy everything on their own without having to deal with the manufacturer. So batteries are a big deal. 20 bucks for another set of 3. It's like 20, 25 bucks on Amazon. And you get 6 hours with your camera completely rigged up with both servos and the camera being charged directly from the gimbal. So That's another great plus. And plus, you're also powering up the HD video transmitter. Okay, so that's sucking some power as well. Beefier motors, HD transmission system, zoom and focus, and the ability to power your camera. And if you want to plug in your phone to charge it, that's obviously going to take more power. So just put that all into consideration to make sure you have enough batteries during your shoot. All right, let's see if we have any more questions here. Do you know when it will be released in Germany? So someone told me on Amazon that it'll be deliveries will start on the 8th of February. So if you buy it on Amazon, it should be available on the 8th of February. Thoughts about the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema Camera 4K? I haven't had the chance to play around with that camera, but I've seen the raw footage and it looks phenomenal. Is it the type of camera that I would want to use? No, simply because I do heavily rely on autofocus. I heavily rely on quick setup times, and the Blackmagic Pocket camera, it's going to take more time than I can allow. I would not use that camera on a fitness shoot. I'm a big fitness buff. A lot of my clients are fitness people, and they say, hey, Josh, come over for 2-3 hours. Let's shoot a quick workout video. I can't rely on the pocket camera to quickly set up and just shoot right away. Plus, I have to rely on focus all the time rather than framing and composition. So it's very difficult for me, a single operator, to control focus, exposure, composition, framing, and just getting the angles in general that I want. So it's very difficult for one person to control all of that. So that's one of the reasons why I got my Sony A9, is because it nails focus over 90% of the time. So I rarely have to worry about focus. Then I can just focus on composition, framing, and a little bit of proper exposure. But overall, focus is numero uno. And if the camera is missing excellent autofocus, then for me and the type of work that I do, it's not going to cut it. So that's why I want the camera. I want the Blackmagic Pocket. But the question is, will I actually use it? And the answer is most likely no, I won't use it. Am I saying it's a bad camera? No, I just won't use it. It doesn't fit my purpose. Best lens for music videos in your opinion, aside from the Sigma 18-35 range? Dude, honestly, there is no best lens for music videos. You can use any lens you want. When it comes down to clarity, like for me, I only own native glass because native glass is always going to work the best with your type of camera. So if you're having a Canon camera, use Canon glass. I mean, this is just my opinion. Sigma is actually getting very, very close to nailing quick autofocus with Sony Alpha cameras. So once they perfect it, then I wouldn't mind getting some Sigma glass, because it is significantly cheaper than G Master or Zeiss lenses. So yeah, I would love to see what Sigma does in the future with their autofocus. Okay, that's a fair point. I can handle this. It's such a great camera. Yes, the Pocket is a phenomenal camera. The RAW that comes out of that thing is mind-blowing. For me, it's not an ergonomic camera. That's it. All right. For some, indie filmmakers who are planning out a shoot, pre-production, post-production, all that stuff, yes, that is the camera to get. Especially if you're on a budget, that is the camera to get, period. But if you're run and gun and you need to quickly set up, boom, 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 get in, get out, not the camera for you. Me and my friends are making this movie on my channel. I just wanted to ask, is there anything more I need to know or things I should do? Thank you very much. Well, could you give me more details, Doctor? Dr. Fruitbag. Very interesting name. Rodan S or Jewin Crane? Which crane? Which crane? Let me know. The Rodan S has a lot of nice features. I do love the handle. I love the rubber on the handle. The way they made the handle fit around your hand was just very ergonomic, and it felt great. Where the Ronin S is lacking is stability, which is the whole point of a gimbal. I did compare the Crane 2 and the Ronin S side by side using telephoto glass. because as you know, if you magnify, things become a lot more sensitive to movement. So if I put a 200 mil lens on a gimbal, movement is going to be much more easily seen, like slight bumps. You can easily see that on a magnified lens, like a 200 mil. That's how you test a gimbal. That's how you know if a gimbal is steadier than the other. When you're shooting on a wide lens, it's very difficult to see bumps, all right? But when you're shooting on a magnified lens, on a telephoto, very easy to see bumps. Very, very easy. So that's a great way to test out two gimbals. So if you go to like B&H and you have the opportunity to test out both gimbals, look at telephoto lenses, all right? Test out telephoto lenses on both gimbals and see which one is better. Through my thorough testing, the Crane 2 did a better job than the Ronin S, especially when it came down to panning. Feiyutech A2000 also had this issue with the pan being very bumpy at telephoto lengths. So check that out. 85 mil, Crane 2 destroyed the Ronin S and the Feiyutech A2000. With wide lenses, all gimbals did very well. With medium lenses like a 50 mil, Ronin S and Crane 2 were about head to head. Feiyutech A2000 was slightly behind, and when it came down to like more telephoto lenses like 85 mil, 100 mil, that's where you start to really see the differences in gimbals and their consistency of movements. So whenever don't even listen to what I'm saying when I'm saying, oh, buy this, buy that. Test it out for yourself. I'm just here offering my opinions through testing, and I show you proof in the footage, unedited footage. I show you proof. But if you think I'm biased, if you think I'm skeptical, try it out for yourself, all right? And my opinion as a gimbal operator, I need to tell you that you need to try out telephoto lenses on these gimbals in order for you to see which one is better than the other. With a wide lens and even sometimes with a medium lens, it's very difficult to see which gimbal performs better. But with a telephoto, it's night and day, and you'll clearly see the difference between the gimbals. So try it out. I mean, if you don't have access to a superstore to buy all your cameras or test out these lenses, then yeah, my channel is a great resource because I try to be as unbiased as possible because I'm a gimbal fanatic. If a company makes a great product, I want to flaunt it. I want to show it off. Okay. DJI makes the best drones. I had a unique Typhoon as well, you know, and I didn't really like it. DJI took the show with drones. Okay, so I'm not biased. I have proof. You can check out my videos and I show you proof, step-by-step proof, unedited footage. So people say I'm biased. I'm not. I'm trying to be as honest as I can. So it's just how it is, guys. I have no reasons to be biased. If I love a gimbal, I'm going to show it off as much as I can because I want you guys to see what it can do and compare it to other competitors as well. So that's why Zhiyun, that's the company I went with because I do think they make the best gimbals. My hope for the future of Zhiyun is that they make a Mobi type gimbal. I want to see a 30-pound payload. I want to put an Alexa, all right, a fully rigged Alexa on these gimbals. So this is still, in my opinion, like a prosumer, consumer type of product. But I want to see a gimbal from Zhiyun Tech that can handle, you know, a 30-pound payload. I want to see a Ronin 2 version in the Zhiyun Tech lineup. Okay, so I want to see, like, they nailed the consumer prosumer market. I want to see what they can do with bigger setups. I know this is a 10-pound payload capacity. Double it up. Let me see a 20-pound payload capacity. So hopefully that's going to happen in the near future. But right now, they're really focusing on the prosumer consumer market. And in my opinion, I think they're nailing it. I think they are making the most consistent and the most, they're making gimbals with the most features. I mean, name one gimbal that has as many features as the Crane 3 Lab. It's not possible. Zoom servo and follow focus servo alone, just those two things, already kills all of the gimbals on the market because no other gimbal on the market has that. So just think about it. With the Movi, you have to rig it yourself, and you have to find a wireless follow focus system. All of that is already built into the Crane 3 lab. All right, you don't have to worry about it. It's already there. You just have to attach the modules. That's it. And as you know, in the Crane 2, you can buy a separate wireless remote controller. I haven't tested that wireless remote controller in the Crane 3 lab yet. It might be compatible, it might not be compatible. I haven't tested it out, so I'll let you know about that. But hopefully they'll make a Crane 3 lab remote as well. I have no idea on future accessories. So, but I will let you know as soon as I have any inside scoops on that. All right, let's see if we can have any more questions here answered. Jay's Filming says too expensive. All right, so let's cover some of the costs, okay? You say it's too expensive, $900. Okay, let's break it down. When people say something is too expensive, usually what they're doing is they're judging a short-term investment. These gimbals are not a short-term investment, guys. They're a long-term investment. These things don't go bad, all right? Unless there's some sort of short or anything like that. But that's the beautiful thing about electronics. If something was poorly manufactured, with electronics, it usually goes bad within the first month of use, okay? After the first month or so of use and nothing goes wrong, the chance of your gimbal going bad is very, 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 very small. So electronics usually go bad early on in life. If they don't go bad early on in life, there's a very small chance of it ever going bad during its whole entire lifespan. Okay, your batteries are most likely to go out before anything else goes out on the gimbal, and batteries are easily replaceable. Like I said earlier, $20-25 gets you a new set of 18650 batteries. Okay, but that's another thing. If your gimbal goes bad within the first month of life, that means that's it. You got to return the gimbal, get a new gimbal. But that's a great way to judge electronics and to see if there was any manufacturing defects. Every company has manufacturing defects. Okay, my Inspire 1 from DJI had a ton of manufacturing defects. I mean, it just happens. So it's just the way, whenever things get mass produced, you know, sometimes things go bad. All right, it's just that's the thing about mass production. But yeah, that's a great way to judge technology. Okay, you have a month to see if the gimbal works or any other sort of tech. If it doesn't go bad within the first month of everyday use, then you know that it's going to last you a very long time. But these are long-term investments. So if you spread out $900 over the next 3 to 5 years, it's very, very small expense. Very, very small expense. So if you do the math, I mean, you can crunch out the numbers. So $900, not expensive for this type of equipment that gives you so many features. I mean, I bought my first Crane. I bought the Crane version 2, not the Crane 2, but the Crane version 2. I think I paid $450 or $500 for it. Yes, it's a lot of money, but I was thinking short term. You got to think long term. I ended up having the gimbal for a few years, and it paid for itself. Plus, got me return on my investment, and I made money on top of that. So you got to look, if you're doing this as your own standalone filmmaking company, whenever you buy equipment, you just got to ask yourself, how is this going to make me money? I use my gimbal on 90% of my shoots. So I already made back the money that I spent on my gimbals. I already made them back. It's very simple. So yeah, think long-term, never think short-term. Short-term is just going to look very scary, okay? Whenever I look at I have a little Excel spreadsheet of my expenses. Whenever I look at it in a month term, it freaks me the hell out because like, wow, I spent that much money on gear. No, look at it from a wider perspective, a longer perspective, okay? And then you'll be able to see things a lot more logically. Okay, so, all right. It's like buying a car. If you buy a $30,000 car, wow, $30,000, that's a ton of money. But if you get a 5-year financing on it and you crunch down the numbers, it really becomes affordable. So you're thinking about it long term rather than short term. So that's a little quick investing investing advice for you guys. And yes, all of you filmmakers who are buying gear for your own, for your clients, for yourself, for your own business, you are all investors. You're technically investing in your company. So you have to think like an investor. So think long term, don't think short term. Okay. Lasha says, Crane 3 Lab gimbal, can I use it on a Red Dragon 5K with a cinema lens, Sigma 18 and 35? So I haven't tested out the Red Dragon, but like a Red Scarlet, I don't know the difference in weight. The Red Scarlet, Red Epic, you can definitely put that on Crane 3 Lab. Tips for editing reverse clips. I'm actually working on a tutorial for that. So yeah, I'll let you know when that comes out, man. Good question. I use the Crane 2 with Canon cameras and want to get the Weeble Lab. Any plan to add Canon to the list of cameras controlled by the Weeble Lab via USB? So yes, yeah, definitely. They actually just released firmware for the Nikon Z camera lineup. So Canon should be supported with that new lineup as well, that new firmware, I mean. Can I balance a Blackmagic Pocket Cinema on the Crane 3 Lab? The answer is yes. There's a ton of pictures online. If I ever get my hands on that camera, I'll show you how to balance it myself. Hello from Houston. I noticed many filmmakers working within the industry aren't too fond of us. The DSLR mirrorless generation. What are your thoughts on the separation? So, here's the funny thing. So, I worked with a few filmmakers in the past, actually the last 6-7 months, and they're like real deal, like Hollywood cinematographers. So they use, you know, Alexas and Reds and Panavision cameras. And then I pull out my Sony Alpha cameras and they're like, what the hell, man? What is this? So there's definitely, there's a big gap between the run and gun filmer and a Hollywood cinematographer. There's definitely a big gap. One person can, you know, just put up a camera on a gimbal and go. The other person needs to really do pre-production, post-production, you know, and the actual execution of the film. It's really just different on the type of project. For my type of work, you know, I do a lot of, you know, sometimes I do interview shoots, sometimes I do workout shoots. A Hollywood cinematographer can't do that. However, I can't do what a Hollywood cinematographer does. A Hollywood cinematographer is in charge of so many different aspects, okay? It's not just lighting and composition. They're doing so much more than that. Storyboarding, you know, collaboration. It's very, very difficult. When you're DP in Hollywood, there's just so much more than just lighting and framing. You have to deal with a lot of people, and that on its own takes a lot of skill. And those are the types of skills that I probably don't have because I haven't been in that type of area of work. I haven't been a Hollywood DP. If you guys put me in a movie set and called me a DP and gave me the responsibilities of a DP, I would freak the hell out. I wouldn't know what to do, okay? And same goes for Hollywood cinematographers. If you give them a gimbal with a camera on top and say, hey, shoot this workout video, they would most likely freak the hell out as well. So it all depends on the skill set. It's completely two different markets, in my opinion, two different businesses. Filming a Michael Bay film and filming a YouTube video or a workout video, completely two different areas. One party should not get upset at the other party, all right? It's two different realms. It's completely two different realms. So I hope that makes sense. And yeah, it's just two different realms. Let's see, are there any other questions here? I'm getting hungry. You my friends, so answer that question. Pedro says the Weeble Lab is not good in price compared to the other gimbals in that same price range. So a lot of people have been complaining about the Weeble Lab not holding up cameras that the company promised it to. So I'm using the heaviest setup I used on the Weeble Lab was a Sony A9 with a 24-70. It handled that setup fine, but I did have some issues with some stability things. But the company did tell me, Juentech did tell me that they're releasing a firmware with 40% motor torque increase. So with that 40% increase, we're going to get much more stability. And they're going to be launching that firmware very, very soon. So stay tuned for that because a 40% increase is quite a bit. But I took my Weeble Lab with me to New Zealand, and it performed just fine. I haven't had any issues with it. But that's because I've been using a different setup than you have. Okay, so I've been using Sony A9 24-70 and also the 16-35 along with a small rig cage. Didn't have any issues. I didn't have any issues. Is it my gimbal of choice? If you're traveling, yes. If you're staying local, no. I much prefer bigger gimbals. I like the feel, I like the performance, and I like the functionality of bigger gimbals. That's why if I stay in LA for a lot of my shoots, I'm not going to bring the Weeble. I'm going to bring the big boy here, the Crane 3 Lab or the Crane 2. So it's just a preference. But Juentech does know about all of the issues with the Weeble Lab, and they will be releasing a firmware in the near future, very close to that date. They actually just released a firmware for a lot of Nikon people. So Nikon users were very upset that the Weeble Lab was incompatible. So now it is. So if you're not signed up for the Juentech newsletter, sign up because they will alert you when new firmwares come out and when new updates come out for their products. Okay, so I hope that answered your question. What are your thoughts on Ibis on a gimbal? Very good question. Ibis, great to use at wide focal lengths. Ibis sucks at narrow focal lengths. So if I'm shooting at even a 50 mil and onward, turn off Ibis. It's not going to help you. It's going to make your shots look worse because the camera constantly tries to compensate for any sort of movement. So it might even slightly shift the sensor in the opposite direction from the way that you're actually turning. So I've had this issue many, many times with my Sony A9 whenever I shoot at 50 mil and above. Turn off Ibis. Ibis is great at wide focal lengths. I would use it all the way up until maybe like a 40 mil. But once you hit 50 mil, Ibis starts to become a very big problem. It makes your footage look a lot worse. So I don't know if you guys noticed, but I have here I'll show you. I have a little slider set up back there, right? This is my room. That's my bed, my little mini studio. But yeah, I have a motorized slider back there with my Sony A9. I turned off Ibis whenever I'm shooting with it because I shoot with an 85 mil and a 50 mil a lot. I turn off Ibis because it's just too much bumpiness. And this slider uses servo motors, which are much more accurate and have much more torque than a brushless motor. So these motors are much more accurate than brushless motors that are used on gimbals and so on and so forth. But that's because of the time-lapse option. When you shoot a time-lapse on a slider with servos, it is so damn accurate, okay? So damn accurate with time-lapses. When you take a brushless motor, because there's gaps in between the magnets, it's just not as accurate with time-lapses as servo. Servo uses gears. It's very, 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 very precise. That's why a lot of people, whenever they shoot a time-lapse on their gimbal, they say it's very jittery. It's because it uses a brushless motor and there's gaps in between the magnets. This is just the design of brushless motors. And every gimbal on the market uses a brushless motor. In my opinion, gimbals aren't really meant for time-lapses. They're just meant to stabilize footage. So if you want to get the most accurate time-lapses and you have the money for it, definitely invest in something like a servo motor system, a servo 3-axis system like the Cinetics Lynx. This is the system I would use for time-lapses and for sliders and sliding moves, dolly shots, and all that stuff. So gimbals, great for stability, but their weak point would be time lapses, and this is going to go for all gimbals. This is not just the Ronin S or the Crane series. This is for all gimbals that use brushless motors. You're just not going to get the same type of accuracy in time lapsing if you're comparing it with motors that are built by a servo. Okay, that's just how it is. Servo's much more accurate than a brushless motor. Okay, that's just how it is. Let's see if there are any more questions. Love my Moza Air 2, especially being able to adjust anything by gimbal alone. Does the Crane 3 allow this functionality? Because Juin has a crappy app track record for my past experiences. So, adjust anything by gimbal alone. So does that mean you can adjust all the parameters within the gimbal? I think that's what you mean. Can you elaborate on that, please? Are you using HLG picture profile ever? Are we talking about on the drone, or what are we talking about? On which camera? Small Rig is making a quick release plate for the Weeble Lab with counterweight mounting points. Yes, so I had a few people DM me on Instagram asking me what would be a better way for them to balance their gimbals. For example, I had one person, I forgot what setup they were using, but they were using a pretty large lens. And what happened was they were trying to balance it on their Crane 2, and there wasn't enough slack, enough room to push the camera back to counteract the front heaviness. So I told them to get counterweights. You can easily mount counterweights to the back of the quick plate or a quick release system on the Crane 2, and that will allow you to get better results of balancing. So counterweights, great for those larger lenses and larger body systems. Hello from France. What's up? What's up? So 13th Dilemma is asking about the features that can be changed within the Crane 3 lab. Parameters such as deadband and all that stuff have to be changed within the app. The app is getting better. It's getting better. They actually just redid everything for the Crane 3 lab, and it's a little bit better than it was. Definitely some improvements can be made. But when it comes down to adjusting deadband sensitivity and all that stuff, you do have to use the app for that. Within the gimbal itself, you can change things like ISO, aperture, shutter speed. You already know that. Shooting modes, and you can also calibrate the gimbal within the settings, within the controls on the gimbal. You can also adjust manually each axis. So let's say one of the axes may be off for some reason. You can manually adjust the axes within the LED screen on your Crane 3 lab. Ezekiel says, do you plan on making more handheld shooting tutorials? I was thinking various types of rigs would help better in handheld shots. Yes, definitely, guys. So right now I'm buried in videos. I have like a list of probably 150 videos that I need to make. So I'm buried. But if you could please let me know, email me, info@capturethemomentum.com. If you guys want any videos done, if you have any requests, let me know. Let me know. I would love to know what you guys want me to put out for you. I'm going to probably start doing a lot more polls on my channel just so I can see what the urgency is from my viewers. What do you guys want to learn the most? And I'll push those videos out sooner than other videos. Right now, I'm working on an 8-part series for the Crane 3 Lab. So that I'm currently working on. One video already came out. I have 2 that are supposed to be coming out this coming week. So yeah, and those are very crucial videos because they're going to show you how to properly balance the system and hook up all of the electronics. So the servo and the zoom, so all that stuff. I have not tried HLG picture profile on the Sony cameras. Sony A9 does not have any picture profiles, and I haven't seen HLG on my Sony A7S. I'm still using an OG camera. I'm waiting for the A7S Mark III to come out, and I'm going to get that camera instantly. So if you want to see me review that camera, let me know. Drop me a like. Do you prefer Steadicam or gimbal? In all fairness, and through many, many years of using both, I do prefer gimbals. Steadicams are great, just the learning curve is just too high. And if it's a windy day, a Steadicam is basically useless. If it's windy, you have to go to a gimbal. Steadicams are good for getting certain shots and adding some character, but about 80, I would say 75, 80% of the time, I think the gimbal will prevail. Yeah, it will prevail. Yeah. Let's see here. Any more questions, guys? We have some people tuning in. Very excited to see all of you. You guys like my new setup? I have like a little new setup I'm doing here. Each week I'm trying to change up my little YouTube space here. I have a 120D with multiple layers of diffusion because I'm shooting against a white wall and shadows are just a pain to deal with. So I'm using a lot of diffusion to soften up those shadows so that way they're not as noticeable. Using my Sony A9 with an 85mm 1.8 lens. That way I get very, very shallow depth of field. Even though I'm about like a foot away from my desk, it's completely blurred out. So I love the 1.8 on there. Rode NTG2 with a Rockville boom stand. I have a King TV 50 watt. Is it 50 watt Fresnel? Yeah, it's a 50 watt Fresnel. And I have another 50 watt Fresnel there just in case. I rarely use it, but in case I need more light to be shined on the wall to eliminate shadows, I use that other 50 watt Fresnel. Yeah. I also live in a carpeted area, so audio is very, very nice. It's not echoey for the most part. Eventually, I might get some soundproofing stuff, but we'll see how that goes. Yeah. Hello, I have a DJI Ronin S and a Sony a7 III. When shooting for cinematic, we say, is it best to shoot in 120 frames per second slow-mo or just go in the normal 24 or 60 frames per second shooting? It depends on the shot. I mean, cinematic, 24 frames per second. But if you need something that needs to have that slow-mo effect, then yes, you got to do the 120 frames per second. You can't really compare both frame rates. Each frame rate is used for its own purpose. 60 slow-mo, 120 slow-mo, 24 regular speed. That's about as easy as I can put it. 24 should be the base frame rate for cinematic simply because of that motion blur that we get. So 24 is a really good frame rate for that motion blur. For my workout videos, I don't shoot in 24 because I shoot a lot of things in higher frame rates. I usually shoot at 60 frames per second. So I rarely shoot in 24 frames per second unless I want to shoot like a little short film, maybe sometimes a product shoot. 24 frames per second works very well. Sony a7 III or wait for the newer model. Thank you and love your explanations. Thank you so much, Christian. It depends on the price range. I can tell you right now the A7S Mark III is going to be around $3,300 to $3,500. A7 III, you can get it for under $2,000. My initial plan was to sell my A7S Mark I for the A7 III and also sell my Sony A9 for the Sony A7S Mark III, but there's new firmware coming out for the A9 that has eye-accurate autofocus, which is freaking amazing. And I realized how fast and awesome the A9 is for taking photos, so I'm still debating on whether or not I want to get rid of the A9. I always wanted to have a third camera just to use it as a model for a lot of my tutorial videos. So what I think I'm going to do, I'm going to keep the A7S Mark I, I'm going to keep the Sony A9, and just buy the A7S Mark III. Because sometimes I like to have a two-camera setup pointing at a dummy camera, which will eventually become my Sony A7S. Also, if I want to do something pretty ballsy and I might wreck the camera, I would like to have a crash cam. And I think the Sony A7S would be a great crash cam. So that's my idea behind the A7S and A7S Mark III. So let me know what your thoughts are. If you think I should sell my Sony A9, I'm still on the fence about it. Slider versus gimbal, your thoughts, please. It depends on the slider. It really depends on the slider. It depends on your technique. I just need more info. I made a video comparing my most expensive slider to a gimbal, and you can clearly see the difference in between the two. If you're a run and gun filmmaker and you don't have time to set up a slider, a gimbal is going to do just fine. Just remember to have proper technique, sometimes shoot at higher frame rates, and that way you'll be able to slow it down in post and simulate a more accurate slider shot. So I know that was a lot, but that's what I do. Thanks. I just wanted to hear it from someone. Good for me. You're live right now. Yeah, guys, I'm going to start doing live a lot more often. I think once a week would be good. I used to do them a lot, but YouTube was just not that great with live streaming, so I stopped. So it's good that my hair's all messy. So thinking about cutting my hair, guys. What do you think? But yeah, that's where I'm at. Have you ever tried shooting dance covers? I was thinking on how to plan out kinds of shots, what kind of shots to take and how to take them. So dance covers. So a lot of choreography, I'm assuming, right? I have never shot a dance cover, but I've seen a lot of videos, and what the operator does, they usually use a gimbal, and they track the movements spot on. So if a dancer jumps, so does the gimbal. So it's really like kind of like FPV because it feels like the gimbal is on the person that's jumping. So I would just try, if someone does some cool jumps or whatever, follow that jump, you know, jump up with them. That's something I really liked seeing in those dance covers. CD says, no, you have a good hairstyle. It's a mark for you. Thanks, man. Yeah, so regarding the dance covers, I think that's pretty solid advice. You can look at some examples on YouTube, and you'll notice that a lot of camera ops follow the dancers. So if they jump up, so do the camera ops. Yeah. So that's just my take on it. Did I miss anyone's question? Just checking here. I think I answered everyone's question. Yeah, guys, we're going to be online for another 5 minutes. So if you have any last-minute questions, now is your time to ask. So yeah, we'll be in about 5 minutes. I'll end the stream. But yeah, let me know if you have any questions. Let me know if you want me to bring out any gear as well. I have a ton of gear. If you need help deciding on what to buy, let me know. I actually just got a new Fresnel mount for the 120D. I just got it on Friday, and I plugged it in, and that thing is bright. It's freaky bright. And for those of you who don't know what a Fresnel is, it's basically a lens that attaches to your light, and you'll have the ability to focus the light because the lens works kind of like a real camera lens. So you can actually pull out the focus, push in the focus, and it will either throw a really long throw or short throw with a wide spread of light. So a Fresnel mount really does a lot. It magnifies light. So if you have a weak light and you attach a Fresnel mount to it, you can make it pretty powerful. So glass does a lot. It's not just for lenses, but it's also for lights as well. But yeah, it's really cool that they're making lenses for lights now. I think that's really cool. Hopefully in the future they're going to start making a lot more options for Bowens mount lights. That way we can just play around with the lighting and just get more creative with it. Because I think lights, you can never have enough lights. Okay, you can never have enough lights. You can never have enough lenses because there's just so many different options on the market, and each light gives you different color, different vibes, and lenses the same way. No two lenses are the same. Each lens has its own character, its own personality. So I think there's an endless amount of lenses, endless amount of lights. When it comes down to cameras, it's not the same. I think glass is much more important than the type of camera you use. You can have the most expensive camera in the world and a really bad lens, and your footage will look like crap. However, you can have a really bad camera and a phenomenal lens, and your footage will look great. So the lens is responsible for delivering good video to the camera, or good picture, I should say. But yeah, that's my thoughts on it. Did you go to film school? I'm studying film right now, but I don't know if I want to keep doing it. But I want to make a living out of videos, though. So I took a few film courses. Did I learn much? No. So I didn't go to film school. I'm self-taught. One good thing, though, that I praise about film school, that I praise about film courses in general, is that they teach you how to work in a team. And I know a lot of people think that that's not an important skill to have, or it's very easy to pick up on, but it's not. It's not. Learning to work with other people takes a lot of time and it takes a lot of effort. And film school teaches you how to work in a team. And that was extremely valuable. Even though I knew the cameras well, I knew composition, I knew a little bit about lighting, I knew nothing about how to work in a team. I knew nothing. So I uncovered some issues I had, some egotistical issues I had. Film school was able to teach me that I had those issues, even though I didn't know I did. So I was able to get rid of that ego. And film school alone, for that reason, I think it is worth it. Maybe not film school, but a few film courses that force you to work in a crew. Because ego is the #1 thing that can kill a relationship or make it better. Lack of ego usually goes a much longer way than having a lot of ego. So in my opinion, I think film courses are good for teaching you just that. When it comes down to composition, lighting, and just getting the shots, I think there's a lot of material online that you already have access to. But just that experience of working with other people alone is just so damn valuable. You have no idea. Because guess what? If you're working for yourself and you're dealing with clients, film school teaches you how to deal with people, how to deal with issues, how to deal with overcoming those issues, and just dealing with people in general. So if you are working with clients, you need to know how to work in a team, because even though it's a 2-person team, it's still a team, and you have to learn how to communicate. Film school teaches you how to communicate. They put you in a crew of 20 people at least, and you have to learn how to communicate with every single one of them. And very important skill to have. You have no idea. It's more valuable than the type of camera you're using, than the lights you're using, than the lenses you're using. Learning how to communicate with the crew that you're working with, there's nothing more valuable. I can't say that word today. Valuable than that. Okay? Very important. And because of film school, I never had any issues with clients. It's because of those courses that I took that I never had any issues with clients. Okay? I've never had a client talk bad about me or talk behind my back. I've never had any refunds because of it, because I was able to just make the client happy. How was I able to do that? I was able to communicate to them. And how did I learn how to communicate? Film school, film courses. I didn't go to like NYU. I went to Santa Monica College and I took film courses there. So I was very grateful that I had the skills to deal with people because of taking film courses. You cannot learn how to deal with people by taking courses online. Okay? Online eliminates that whole entire experience. So what I recommend you do, I recommend that you take I think 3 semesters in college of film studies, or not film studies, but just film courses that take you out in the field and give you the experience. 3 semesters is all you need to learn how to work in a crew. Okay, just those 3 semesters, focus on learning how to work in a crew, and you'll also learn some film theory, which is really important, especially when it comes down to the frame rates and shutter speed, shutter angle, all that good stuff. But really what I wanted to focus on during those 3 semesters was how to work in a crew. And after you take those 3 semesters, boom, everything else you can learn online. You really can. You have so many different options available. You have free options, you have paid options to learn. But when it comes down, I'm going to say this again, when it comes down to working with people, you cannot buy that experience. You cannot buy that course online. And I promise you that. All right, that was my long answer, my long, passionate answer about film school. I have like 500 questions, but I don't want to write the Bible. So ask me a few more questions. We have some time here. As long as you guys keep asking me questions, I won't log off. But yeah. Yeah, cool. By the way, guys, I think I'm going to have a few giveaways coming up. Simply because I have some great gear, and instead of selling it, I think I'd rather just give it to you guys, because a happy face is better than cash, in my opinion. Like, I'd rather just give it away. I think I might give away. Let me think about it. I have some stuff that I want to give away. Oh yeah, I think I have some lights that I want to give away. Yeah, I'm thinking about it. Once I finish the review form, I think I want to give some lights away. So yeah. All right. Do you have any experience on filming cars, racing, drag racing, drifting, burnouts, etc.? What would be the best option to record in? Okay, yes, I do actually. So I don't know if you guys know this, Bro Science, really big YouTube channel. I shot a car video for him. He has another channel called NARPM. Let me type that in for you. NARPM. So check out that channel. I shot a video for him about 2 years ago. It was an Aston Martin meetup at a club in, what was it, Palm Springs? Palm Springs or San Diego, I don't remember. But yeah, I think it was Palm Springs. So there is an Aston Martin club in Palm Springs, and I brought a lot of gear. I had a lot of fun shooting that video. So if you go on NARPM, which is also, it's a part of Bro Science. So Bro Science, he has that massive channel, and then he made NARPM as another channel because he's very passionate about cars. And yeah, I shot the Aston Martin meetup video. So if you want to check that out, let me know what you thought. Ibis camera versus non-Ibis camera with gimbals, your thoughts, please. I already covered this earlier in the live stream, but I'll say it again. Ibis, leave it on for wider lenses, turn it off for more narrow lenses, because when you shoot with a longer lens, you're going to see a lot more movement coming from the Ibis. Simply because whenever you're zoomed in or you're using a telephoto lens, that's basically a magnifier of movement. So any little bump you're going to see very easily with a telephoto lens. Is the delivery date for the Crane 3 accurate? Sorry if that was asked already. B&H lists February 9th. So yes, B&H has the most accurate delivery date. Amazon said February 8th. But if B&H says the 9th, then yes, it is the most accurate. They're the ones who are communicating with Jointech the most out of any other company. So I would go off of B&H for the delivery date. Yeah. For sure, for sure, for sure. Let's see, any more questions? Have you ever shot an Air TV show? I just got picked up by a company who is partnered with a TV station, and they are paying me $1,500 per episode I produce. Each episode is 30 minutes, and I feel underpaid. I have never shot a TV anything. Never done anything for TV. They are paying me $1,500 per episode. Each episode is 30 minutes. I feel I'm underpaid. Yes, $1,500 is peanuts, my friend. It also depends on if you're using your own gear, if you're renting, what's your budget. So a lot of factors come into play, but I've never heard of someone being paid $1,500 for an episode, especially if it's 30 minutes long. That's very, very little. My take is that you're not in a union, so that's why you're being hired as a contractor. So yeah, let me know the details, man, because that's very, very low for a 30-minute. You know, to film a 30-minute episode, that's triple the length of a short film. Okay, so it's almost like you're getting close to like shooting a feature there, buddy. So 30 minutes, $1,500. No, man. Yeah. Yeah, guys. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and end the live stream here. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'm gonna do these every week from now on. It looks like you guys were pretty happy with the content that I presented you today live, and it was really great to reconnect with my viewers and answer your questions. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. Stay tuned. Hopefully you're subscribed with those notifications turned on, because that way you'll get notified of my future live streams and future videos in general. So thank you guys again so much for watching. Enjoy the Super Bowl today. Gonna fix my hair again. If you're in the United States, enjoy the Super Bowl. If you're out of the United States, enjoy your Sunday/Monday, and I will talk to you very, very soon. All right. Peace.